So today we're going to do a review of the ESV Women's Study Bible. This is the True Tone Blush Rose Floral Bloom design. This has contributors from Jen Wilkin, Lauren Chandler, Ann Voskamp, Trillia Newbell, Kristen Getty, and others. So it's the ESV. We'll kind of read some of this stuff. So drawing from the content adapted from the best-selling ESV Study Bible and the ESV Women's Devotional Bible, this study Bible features over 500,000 words of study content to help women in all seasons of life pursue a deeper transformational understanding of the scripture. There are 13,000 study notes, 350 reflections on key passages, 15 articles on theological topics, an explanation of the plan of salvation, 120 character profiles, an introduction and timelines for each Bible book, 80 maps and illustrations, 80,000 cross-references, and glossary with concise definitions of key terms and an extensive concordance. So we'll pull it out of here. And so right off the bat, what I really love about this one is it is beautiful. I don't have a lot. I only have this one and the She Reads Truth Bibles for women's study Bibles. If you would like to see more reviews of women's study Bibles, I would love to do them. I will just try to get more of them if that's something that everybody's interested in. Right now, I don't have a lot of women's study Bibles. This is my first actually women's study Bible that I have. And then I have the She Reads Truth, which more is like a devotional Bible. So this is my first experience with a women's study Bible. Some of the study Bibles that I am interested in, or devotional women's Bibles, is I've heard really great things about the CSB Women's Study Bible. And then the devotional one, the Women After God's Own Heart, is one I'm interested in. And then, of course, the New King James Women's Study Bible is very highly rated. And those are the ones. I did have every other women's study Bible before. I had the NLT version, but I read through it. And then I gave it to a friend because she didn't have a study Bible. So I gave it to her. So I didn't review. That was well before I was doing YouTube. And so those are some of the different ones that I'm interested in that I don't have, that I would be, maybe eventually I could get. There is one that I'm very interested in that's coming out at the end of July, which is it's a gospel, it's like a gospel women's study Bible that's cut crossways. I think it's applying the gospel study Bible. That one I definitely want to get, hopefully for Christmas. So hopefully I'll have that one to review as well soon, because that's like on my bucket list. I saw that it was coming out like last November in July, and I've wanted that one ever since. And so this one is the Women's Study Bible, and I don't know if this one will continue to be around. This one is always on deep discount, and same with the Women's Devotional Study Bible that's used in this one. I don't know if they'll eventually retire those or not, or if they're still printing them. I think you can still buy both of those on Crossway. So this has a little pink flower on the top. It's just really pretty. It's a really nice feel as well. And so we have the presentation page, and we got the Women's Study Bible, ESV, Crossway, and so you have your table of contents, the books of the Bible in order, in alphabetical order, and then you have a list of reflections. So you have all the reflections. These reflections are the same ones that came out of the devotional study Bible, just in case you were wondering. That is something that I was trying to figure out when I was going through this study Bible, when I was looking at this one versus the devotional one. Kind of why I was interested in this one was because it is a study Bible and devotional Bible, has devotions. I like devotions. I like the study Bible as well. I don't want to just do devotions, but so I like this both in here. You don't often see that. And so the list of charts, and then an introduction to the Women's Study Bible, and the contributors, and then a preface to the ESV. And then you have an overview of the Bible. And so it has God's plan for history, God's promises and predictions, God's warnings and curses, God's covenant, commitment, and instruction, Christ is the offspring of Abraham and last Adam, shadows, prefigures, and the types of Christ, and Christ as mediator. Then you get into the Old Testament, and you have the theology, dates of the Old Testament. The essential component of Old Testament history and the parts of Old Testament in relation to the story, the Old Testament as Christian literature, and the Old Testament timeline overview. And of course it has these pretty illustrations, I think, that are out of the Illuminating ESV Bible. And so you have the author, date, theme, and key themes, and then an outline. And then they have like these drop caps up here, which are really nice. And then you have the different study notes. Now some of these notes are, like they said, it is out of the ESV Study Bible. And then some of them, I think, like these profiles are not in the Study Bible. I know they're not. I've never seen them. And these different like call outs, I don't think they are like the, I don't know what you call like the little, just little extra boxes. I always call them call outs. And so here's an example of one of those devotionals. So a helper for him. They're not like fluffy devotionals. They're more about like applying the scripture, I think. So this one has like a little bit of that application with those. And they're throughout the Bible, but they're not, I don't think there's 365 of them. Because sometimes I notice like there's not one. Like I'm in reading Chronicles, and I notice there's not a lot in Chronicles. So it depends on where you are. So there is a lot of good information in here. If you have the ESV Study Bible though, it's more in depth than this one. There's more notes. There's not as many notes in here, but you do have, other things in this one that you don't have in the ESV. I wish they would come out with an ESV Study Bible that has the devotions with the full text of the Study Bible, but the Bible would probably be huge. And so we'll go to the New Testament, and so they have a lot of these pretty things. I'm sorry, it's kind of hard to see in this room. And so we can go, but very pretty. And so the words of Jesus are not in red. There are some ESV Bibles that do have that, but just not in all of them. And so you have an index in the back, pretty big index. Articles and resources. So you have, again, some of those, like how to make the most of your study Bible. I always love reading those. How to learn and learning to pray from the Psalms, missional giving, evangelism, emotional health. There was one about children, church and women at risk, weights and measures. And then you have a reading plan. This is like the ESV, same one as the in the ESV Bible reading plan. So it has Psalms, wisdom literature, Pentateuch history, Chronicles and Prophets, and Gospels and Epistles. For a yearly reading plan, I really do like when it's split up like this. Although I do like reading the Bible back, chronologically or front to back as well. But I do like this for like the everyday, because you just kind of get a little bit of everything. And then like you're always in the Gospels and Epistles. You're always in the Chronicles and Prophets, which we know like that can get long. And then the Pentateuch and the history, like these two sections. There are a lot of genealogies and a lot of things in these, a lot of lists and everything. So it is always nice to have like the Psalms and the Gospels and the letters and the wisdom literature to kind of break that up. So if you've never tried a plan like that, I do highly recommend it. I like to do all kinds of plans, as I've mentioned before. I love the Professor Horner plan, but it is 10 chapters a day, which honestly it only takes me like 20-30 minutes, so it's not that long. Just sounds like a lot, but that one you're in 10 different parts of the book of the Bible. And so then you got your maps. And so that is the ESV Women's Study Bible. I will do a comparison between the ESV Women's Study Bible and the ESV Study Bible, a side-by-side, in a video coming soon. So have a great day.